They're posting these pictures of their bodies and stuff. And I was like, great. I was like, but how?
Stef Williams, a creator turned business owner.
I started sharing how-to videos. I didn't really feel pressure. My brain's too consumed with the pressure of running two businesses. We wanted to then partner with these people. Got into liquidation, with 5 months of our profit. So we are basically starting from scratch 3 years later. Oh, it was a mess. You want people who are better than you and more experienced, always. Everyone's always going to have their own agenda and be selfish.
Ooh.
Tea.
Tea. Ding, 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 ding. So we have the amazing Stef Williams on, who for me is an icon in the world of fitness. You are the body, the hair, the face, and such an exemplary version of a creator turned business owner. And we've met each other so many times.
We have, yeah.
At events. And I remember when I first met you, which was we were in Florence.
Paris.
Was it Paris?
Yeah.
Ooh, we're international babes.
We are, yeah.
And I remember seeing your legs and thinking, what
Yeah,
does this girl do? Because they were flawless. And I was like, wow, amazing.
No.
And then I realized you're a fitness girl.
Yeah.
But you were in the world of beauty. And I've seen your journey over the years. So it feels like such a privilege to have you on.
No, honestly, like I just said, I don't do podcasts often.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel very honored to be on this one and like super excited.
Amazing. And I feel like people see your face, they see your body, they see what you do, but they haven't heard your voice necessarily or what things are like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And we've been in DMs and we've dealt with many different things that have been kind of parallel.
Yeah.
And people never know what it really takes to be in this world. So I feel like today is the time for us to have a great discussion.
Definitely. No, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, Paris was amazing. I think you had a bump. You were pregnant.
Have a bump
yeah.
then?
And I actually saw a photo the other day as well, and it was both of us, and I was like, oh,
yay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I've been pregnant a few times.
You stayed out with us because that was when I was drinking, and everyone and the times of going out to these events, everyone just let loose.
Yeah.
And we all let loose. And you were there pregnant and you were still going with us. And I was like, this woman is amazing.
One thing about me, I'm going to have a good time.
Yeah.
I won't be drinking while pregnant.
No, just to clarify, there was...
But I will stay out all night. It doesn't matter if there's a bump or not.
No.
A good time needs to be had by all. So we like to explore the concept of wealth, but we believe that wealth is a holistic thing, right? And so obviously I'm having you on because you're a pro in the world of fitness, but I know that you're amazing when it comes to business. And I want to know now, what does wealth look like for you?
Yeah, so I think it's such a interesting question because I think your first reaction or what people think you're going to say is just not it. And I think it's having success in relationships and in my partner, my family. I think that's definitely something like to be rich in that aspect of your life is so, so important. And also, with what I do to be able to genuinely help so many women and to be able to make such a positive impact to women's life. And I think that is the job that I'm in. I do generally feel like it's so rewarding because bad days and stuff, I'll get DM through, I'll get messages through, emails, girls saying something's, it's changed their life, this way of movement, this way of thinking, something I might have shared. And that is just something that's you can't buy.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I definitely think that's really important for me.
It's funny that you brought up your relationship. I feel like you mentioned that first.
Yeah.
And your now husband.
Yeah.
And when I met you guys, you weren't engaged or anything yet. And he's by your side in everything.
Yeah.
Can we explore that a little bit? Because I know that there's a concept of influencer husband and, it was very difficult for me and my partner to work together and make stuff happen. And we had to stop working together.
Yeah.
But you guys have been able to sustain that.
Yeah.
What is it that you do to make that work?
So we met almost 10 years ago now. And when we first met, I think from the get-go, we were in each other's pockets and we've always just kind of been by each other's side. And that's never been an issue. I love his company, obviously.
Yeah.
Did marry him. And it just works. And people are always how do you guys, even before we were in business together, everyone was how are you guys always together? It just seems to work. And I think if it works, it works.
Yeah.
And with us, it just does. We align on so many things that we have in common and so many things that we both enjoy. And whilst we're quite different as people, I think the lifestyle and lots of things we just kind of click on massively. I think because I've got a big background in sport, so I think I've always had that drive and motivation, and I think we bring the best out in each other in that aspect. And when we first met, I mean, I was working I was a hostess in a nightclub and he was a promoter.
Hey, lifestyle babes.
Yeah, exactly. And then kind of just really from there, grew together. And then he'd always like really encourage me, help me, and the same vice versa with like different things that he does. And then it just kind of happened that I can't even trying to think of the moment where we first started working together. And it just felt so easy and still does.
Yeah.
And I think if it was ever a point where work was getting in the way of our relationship, like it wouldn't, I mean, we'd stop working together, but it just does seem to work so well.
Yeah, you're a good looking couple as well. Like I remember seeing you two together. I was thinking, wow, they look great together. Do you think that was, I was gonna say, was that intentional?
Was that intentional?
Was that intentional?
Well, I do, obviously I fancy him. So I saw him. No,
they're gonna look good together.
He saw me, chased me. Yeah. I was like, no.
Good.
Go away.
Yes.
Yeah. So he did have to chase, to be fair.
Because I can imagine as part of like the nightlife, you know, if you not a bottle girl, but
same hostess. I'm not precious. Right? Yeah.
Like, there are guys everywhere.
Yeah,
throwing.
And I do think you're quite an easy target when you're like on your own and stuff. And he approached me, and I was like, no. And it's actually a girl that I was working with was like, give him your number. Like you have to. So and then from there he was messaging me. He actually honestly, some of the stuff.
I love it. Relationships so important when it comes to trying to build anything. And for me, being in a long-term relationship helped me like create and really stay focused, because you said you've been in a relationship for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's insane. So has he seen your journey from, you know, bottle girl to creator, entrepreneur? And but you guys did that together.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's always kind of been like my biggest champion, and obviously like with my family as well, and always just kind of seen like potential in me. And like when I wanted to put my passion into business, like really supported that. And obviously he loves fitness and that lifestyle as well. And he's just really always helped boost me through all of it. And I think as well, it's a soundboard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Someone you can just kind of be like, how is this? And bounce off each other. But yeah, we started We Glow in 2020. And then prior to that, we did actually have another fitness app, but we stopped that.
Ooh,
T.
You're
like, hang on,
I can... ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
You know what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
We keep some of it in, whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
So you started another business before.
Yes, but it wasn't. It was like my content, and someone else had already had the framework.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you're going into doing the fitness app in the app space, I would definitely recommend owning all the coding and everything like that, which is now what we do.
Yeah.
Completely bootstrapped and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, originally it was my content on. Yeah, the framework of someone else.
I'm going to talk about it. I'm not afraid to say specific things.
Basically, the vision and where we wanted, and like the potential in the community and the women that we had built up from my platform, like we wanted to just take it further and take it global and do more, and, you know, put the money back into the business and really take it where it like should go.
Yeah.
And the people that we partnered with, they just didn't have the same ambition and alignment that we did.
Okay.
And so we were like, came to this crossroad where we were just kind of basically doing so much, and trying to get anything out of them was just like an impossible task. So we actually, it was, I mean, like you can imagine, it was a mess.
We're going to talk about this because this is a story that I hear like regularly for creators in our space, entrepreneurs, business owners, often female business owners who don't necessarily have, you know, the tech background or the finance background. We always look for partnership, and sometimes our partnerships go wrong. And there's a lot of lessons that we have in
lessons
that.
And learnings.
And it's constant, right?
Yeah.
So actually one of the topics we have is like wealth losses. So let's get a little bit into that. So I think people can learn from when business or partnerships go wrong.
Yeah.
What went wrong? What were the challenges that you felt with that first partnership that you then took to learn something to create your own thing?
Yeah, I think with the first partnership, as said, we had such a drive and the work ethic was there. We wanted to just give it everything that we knew it deserved and, get to so many more women. But to do that, you have to, like I said, put the money back into the business. You all have to have that like startup mentality, and we just weren't on the same page as those people. And that became quite obvious, especially when we kind of like put the pedal down and we were like, we need to be doing more of this. So therefore, like, we're stepping up. We're going to continue to, you need to step up too. And a lot of people don't want to do that. Once it's like if there's a little bit of risk or anything like that involved, some people, it's just not the right for them. But with this like risk, like the reward as well, like of being able to reach so many more women is incredible. So that's what we knew we wanted to do. And I think the learning from that is as well, like the people that you partner with. Obviously, like I said, with We Glow now, it is completely bootstrapped and we own all the everything and all the coding, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which is so important.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you have control over what it looks like, what you're putting in there. The roadmap priority of what's kind of, what the customer wants. And I think that is so important, is actually listening to your customer. And we are so lucky that I have Instagram and I have that platform where I'm able to have that instant communication with these women and be like, this is what we're loving. This is what we'd love to see more of, like maybe less of that. And so that's that, instant communication that I can then implement into the app and we can progress the app in the way that is like truly tailored for what they want. And if you don't have partners who align with that or want that same vision, it's just going to feel jarring. It's not going to work. So stepping away from them and going on our own, like obviously felt daunting, but actually like the best thing that could have ever happened. And so pleased. It was a little bit of an awkward like crossover. Obviously the people who won the previous app couldn't transfer over to this fresh app. So it was kind of like regaining all that community, the trust and everything. But like ultimately it was the best decision because it just meant that we had that real connection and were able to just create the best app for the customer. And I think always customer first. Because it's just key, and have someone with the same drive.
I think this is one of the big lessons that a lot of us have had to learn in business, is about finding the right people to work with, and then realizing that a lot of people look like they can do it better than us and they're more experienced than us or they know more, and then to be left short and realizing we're not aligned, we don't agree with each other, you don't want what I want, and you don't always have my best interest.
No.
You don't care about this the way I care about this. And it takes something going wrong to realize that is actually the case.
100%. I think as well, something, no one's ever going to care about it like you when it's your thing. Like you can't, and I think you can't have that expectation on people because the care and love that you have for it, it's just people who work for us have so much passion and stuff, but you can't put that expectation on them to feel what we do about it.
And actually earlier you mentioned being dyslexic and actually that being something that has impacted you. Do you feel like that led into you wanting to partner with people who maybe, I don't know if I want to use the word smarter or know better?
I mean, at the time, no one in the UK had a fitness app that like see it was the time of like the PDFs and so we got approached by these people and that was the way the world was going, and I have no idea about coding and apps, and like I'm not gonna try for a minute pretend like I even do now years later. Like I see the coding and I'm like, guys, wild. But obviously you want people who are better than you and more experienced always in business. I think you want people to be able to be on a level that they can push you. It's like if you play tennis with someone and you're playing tennis with someone who's like the same as you or not as good as you, your tennis isn't going to be any better. But if you're playing with someone who's better than you, you're going to you're going to get beaten, but you're only going to improve and get better and better. And I think that's the same in business. Try and surround yourself with people who can like bring the best out of you. And sorry if I use a sports analogy, but
I love that analogy.
Sports is my thing. But yeah, with dyslexia, I think something for me, and having these experiences where we call them learnings, but like definitely been knocked back in business and had fails and et cetera, et cetera. I think because I am dyslexic and I've kind of always second guessed myself with a lot of things I do in the confidence, because I think from school, it's like, I excelled in sport, but in academia, I found it like so difficult. So I think I always felt like, oh, I'm not as clever, or I'm dumb, and things like that, and really put a lot of pressure on myself. But actually, like, I'm so creative, and that's okay that that's not where I excel. And I think trying to accept that. But then when you are faced with these things and negative things happen, you kind of do naturally question yourself, and you're like, it's me. I'm like, oh, because I'm dumb and blah, 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 and things like that. And you get into your head. And I think dyslexia is nothing to do with how smart you are. It's just a different way of thinking, and you just program things differently. And, everyone's better at different things. That doesn't mean no one's better than each other. But yeah, I just think, being dyslexic sometimes can also be frustrating, because it does take me longer to take things in as well. Sometimes I need to go over things a lot more, and you miss things and things like that. So yeah, like it can be super frustrating. Even like writing captions genuinely on Instagram and things like that. The amount of captions and things that I write, and then I'm just like, no, I can't, because I'm like, oh, it's not making sense, or it's taking me that long to try and articulate how I'm feeling via paper, which is why I'm a voice noter.
Yeah.
But even small things like that, and I'll end up just putting a bloody emoji, and I'm like, well, that's bloody useless, but
it works, and you've built an amazing audience by doing that.
Yeah, sometimes I will, but like also I'll send it to some of the girls who like work with us, and I'll say like, can you just have a look over this and take out any things? And we have a few grammar police girls who work for us, and they're like, Steph, your grammar, and I'm like, I know. They all come for me on Instagram as well. I'm like, guys, it is what it is. All the theirs. I'm like, I know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
it's never going to change.
I'm exactly the same. My spelling is atrocious.
Yeah,
but I'm not even ashamed. I'm like, I know it's spelled wrong.
I know.
Tell me it's spelled wrong. You fix it. I don't care.
Yeah, my dad was always like, it's just your special language.
Yeah,
like it's fine.
Get what it meant.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes actually, spell check does not know what I mean. Has the little thing where I can just voice the word. So sometimes when I'm working, my team are like, I might just say, I don't know, articulate out loud, and they're like, what?
I get that.
I'm just I can't even spell it, but anyway.
I love it. How have you overcome the challenge of dyslexia then to kind of move to where you are today?
Seeing it as not a negative, and I know what I'm good at, and you don't have to be good or try and be good at everything, and some things are out of your control. And I think just knowing that where I do excel, and just trying to put my time and energy more into that. And sometimes like I try and put my 2 pence in somewhere, and I'm like, I really want to, but actually like I don't need to be in that area, because I find it so much harder. It's so much more time consuming for me. And like I'm more creative, ideas led, and as a trainer, that's where I guess I excel. So I think just finding what you love and what you're good at, and not putting too much pressure on yourself. I think we put so much pressure on ourselves. I think trying to let go of things that's been said as well from when I was younger, just let go of negative things and people, because that's just not going to ever, we all know that it's not going to serve you. But yes, I definitely have my moments still though. I think everyone does, of like confidence up and down, and that's totally normal and fine. But I think just to see my dyslexia is actually something that is like to be proud of. And I know sometimes I get words muddled up and I say things slightly wrong and everything like that. It's actually quite funny sometimes.
Exactly.
And you've just got to like laugh about it. I definitely cope with humor with a lot of things, 100%. But if you can't laugh, you know,
you're gonna cry.
You're struggling. You're gonna cry.
Yeah, and I think that's a great example of like leaning into like your power and your skill. Some of us try to like do the thing that is not, it's not natural to us.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be fighting against ourselves
Yeah.
constantly
Yeah.
and not being in flow. So you've really worked out how to lean into what's natural to you and your gift, and then partner with others who are skilled in other areas.
Exactly.
Like that's just the way to go.
100%. And I think to let go of control as well. I think in business is also super important to an extent. But lean into what you know you're good at, and then have people around you who, you know, as I said, are excelling in other aspects, and, you know, all help each other out. And sometimes, you know, someone who maybe isn't so creative but like comes up with an idea. I think it's also just hearing everyone out always is really important.
So taking it back, you obviously have talked about sport being like such a big part of your life.
Yes.
You literally use sports analogies. Share a little bit about growing up and then how you ended up leaning into sports.
Yeah, so ever since I can remember, I was always so sporty. That's all I wanted to do. Like, I always like play with all the boys in the playground, and I'd not want to, you know, play with dolls and anything like that. I'd always be like, let me go out, play sports, do anything active. When I first went into like different schools, I'd always be put into like athletics in the year above and everything like that. And so my world growing up very quickly was always very much revolved around sport. And I think it helped me so much because, one, I think it's taught me more lessons than like schooling in general has, because of the motivation, the drive, the discipline that you have to have when playing sport. And also because I think I was so dyslexic and always felt quite embarrassed about that. Like I had that, and that was kind of my thing. But I kind of went into like then big school, and again I was like pulled into all different sports teams. I then started playing hockey for like county west, and then eventually played hockey for Wales. And you know, the school I went to as well was ultra sporty. It was like every weekend, like all the time, but I just absolutely like love it. And I feel like I'm gonna get emotional.
No, if sports make you happy, that's amazing.
It really does. And I think the feeling that sports gives you, and obviously the endorphins and everything, is just incredible. And I think the team, I love that team sport as well, like being with all the girls amongst it, like winning together and being able to kind of just all enjoy but lose together, everything, and just kind of having that team aspect as well, I think is so special. And I absolutely love it. I actually really miss it. You can probably tell I'm like
yes, the sports life. Did your parents encourage you to do sports?
So my parents always so like supportive in anything that I did, and they're never pushy. Sometimes I'm like, could have just, you know, pushed me a bit more, and they're like, I can't win. But they always like encouraged it, and like they used to drive me like here, there, and everywhere for all different sporting occasions. And like we used to I played like a tournament in Madrid. They'd come out there, just taking me here, there, and everywhere. And I got a scholarship to the school that I went to for sport, and my parents were obviously like so supportive of all of that. Like I'm very lucky that I was able to like go to that school with my parents' support, and I know that's like such a privilege, but never push. But I think it's because I did genuinely love it, but until a point, I will say, because I think I'd done it for so long and it almost felt like that was my identity. That was like my only identity. And I think as you're growing up then as, you know, a young woman, it's like actually like there's other things that I'm enjoying or other aspects. And also at the time in sports, it was like, okay, when I was getting to like 16, 17, 18, and you know, you're having to think about like what unis you're going to go to, what you're going to do with your life. And I was like, all I know is sports. And from where I'm standing, women aren't getting paid in sports, and there's not a career in this for me. So like, what's the options? And there didn't feel like there were really any options for me, which I think is changing so much now, which is absolutely incredible, but there still needs to be a big change.
You've almost built a career out of sport or fitness and what you know in a way. So funny enough, growing up, my parents did not appreciate sport. They didn't want me in any sport whatsoever. Just read your book was all I was told. Like they would throw in an encyclopedia at me, and that's literally what I would do. I'd read a thesaurus.
And that was any sport?
No sports, no clubs, nothing like that, no music, just academics. And because we're immigrants, right? They don't know anything about sports. They just think it's like play.
Yeah.
Like, why are you playing? Go inside and read, which is the only thing I was encouraged to do, which I think has
helped
made
you
me
probably
the way I am now.
Yeah.
But funny enough, my daughter, like, she does everything. Tennis, volleyball, hockey. And we've got great schools around us. And part of me is trying to think, why is she doing so much sports? But I'm trying to break that cycle and be like, you know what, love, go play, go run. Her knees are like scarred up. I'm like, why is she always doing
like,
this?
not my perfect daughter.
I just wanted to be like a pretty girl and just like wear handbags and read her books. But that's what she's into. And I can see the value of those kind of, one, you talked about the teamwork and the endorphins. I see that in her, that she's just so happy.
And like relationship building and be able to, you know, take that further into her life. And be able to just approach someone and be able to talk to anyone. Because, you know, amongst teams and stuff, that's what you do. She's going to get some, you know, bumps and scratches and I stunk as well. Like, honestly, my mum, because she was always like, oh, why'd you have to play that? And I like had concussion, I get bruises, all these things. And I'm like, it's fine, like get me back on the pitch. And like, honestly, the smell, my mum was like, the washing, like when I was like really young. So you probably have to deal with that as well now.
Right, yeah. And with the PE kit
all
the time,
PE
there's so much PE kit. Okay, fabulous.
So let's talk a little more about how Klarna works. You've probably seen it while shopping online, but did you know it's not just about splitting payments? Klarna offers you a choice of payment options, including Pay Now, which lets you pay up front in full, or Pay in 3, which helps you to spread the cost interest-free. And you can also choose to pay in 30 days, which can be helpful if you need to see the item before you make a decision, but you might not want to be out of pocket. What I love most about using Klarna is that they've got your back. For example, you can pause your payment if something goes wrong with your order, or extend your due date if you need more time. And of course, you can pay your balance in full at any time to help you stay on top of things. It's about giving you the freedom to shop smarter and not harder. If you want to know more about how Klarna works, head to klarna.com for more details. Just to know, borrowing irresponsibly may negatively impact your financial status. Pay in 3 and pay later are unregulated. Terms and conditions and late fees do apply. And borrowing irresponsibly may negatively impact your financial status and ability to obtain credit. So be smart.
And so you went to university, but you did end up dropping out.
I did. Yeah. So going back to kind of what I was saying about leaving school, it's kind of that thing of, okay, what uni are you going to go to? And there's that big pressure and almost feeling of, if you don't go to a uni, like, what are you doing with your life? You're failing. I mean, this is obviously long enough time ago. And so at the time it was kind of, that's what you just did. But also, I don't know, if you want to be a doctor, if you know, have that passion in what you want to do, great. Like, university, like, feels right for that person. But for me, I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And that is so daunting. And I definitely felt really, quite lost in myself, and like stopped playing sport as much, and almost not resenting it, but I was like, oh, that's not a chapter of my life anymore. And it was a really like hard decision. I didn't go for a year, went into work straight away. But then it was kind of like all my friends and everyone around me, it was like, oh, are you going to go? You're going to go? You have to go. Like, what are you doing with your life almost? So then I did go, as you said, for 3 months. And when I went, it was for media, and, you know, I went for like freshers, the culture, and like got on with people. And it was great from that aspect. And I liked playing sport, but I never kind of, saying earlier actually, you know, about the games, the drinking games that people used to play, and you've got to have that, you know, eat the cinnamon. And I was always like, no. Like, why would I want to like do that to myself? I think maybe because the school that I'd gone to as well, that, you know, the drinking people drank quite a bit. And I think because I had a year out, I kind of grew up in that year, and then going into that again, I was just, I'm kind of like, it's past it, and it's not serving me. And to be honest with you, I was like, I'm going to leave this university in 3 years' time in debt with a crap degree, because I knew that I was like, you know, already I hadn't like gone to like some lectures. I'd just been playing sport. And I was like, what am I doing here? I'm just going to like be 3 years down the line in the exact same place. So yeah, I decided to leave. And actually when I left, the woman said to me, she was like, I'm really proud of you. Yeah,
Wow.
I know. And I was like, oh, like I was not expecting that, because it's kind of like you feel that shame. And I think shame is such a big emotion. And yeah, I was like embarrassed, shame of, oh, like, what am I going to do? I've not good enough. And you know, like I had my sports and now I don't have anything. Yeah, like kind of tapped into like what I did really enjoy. I knew that I loved being around people, helping people. I went into like makeup artistry and worked in a school, did nannying. Like, you know, I did loads of different jobs, like so many different jobs. And like whilst my friends were at uni, and there was always that thing like, oh, like what are you gonna do? Like, and it was, you know, I was like, I'm doing it. I'm trying things, and I'm just because I haven't found my thing yet. And then I just remember having like conversations even with like my sister's ex-boyfriends, with Alex, with my parents. They're like, what are you good at? Like, what do you love? And I was like, sport. And they're like, and like people, being around people. And they're like, right, okay, what we're going to do. So then I became a trainer. And then people were like, why don't you just like, because Instagram was kind of around, but there were some people in the space. And I was like, do you know what? So I'm going to become a trainer, start my Instagram, because I didn't want to start an Instagram and have nothing, add no value.
Yeah.
And just like post pictures of me sort of thing. And at the time as well, I remember seeing like, I think especially like American girls, and they're posting these pictures of their bodies and stuff. And I was like, great. I was like, but how?
Yeah,
like,
how did you get
here?
here?
Yeah, all very nice. You look great, but like how? Like what are we doing here? And so then I started sharing like how-to videos, workout videos, and they started doing really well. And I started getting clients off of the back of my Instagram.
Which is what more people need to do versus being stuck in, I'm just going to do this because this is what I've been told to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the fact that, you know, was it Electra was proud of you of making that choice is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think they probably see at universities, and I know like so many people, like they've gone through university and been like, oh, I'm not really sure what I can do with like my degree, or, you know, things like that, and wish they'd just kind of gone into work. And I think as well, like it's okay to try different things and like move about and see what like you love, and take, you know, might be different things from different jobs that like you love, you didn't like, and then like figure it out. Like we're allowed to give yourself like grace at any age to kind of figure out what you love, and stop just because you've been doing something for some time. It doesn't mean that you have to then continue to do that.
Yeah. And pivot.
Just pivot.
Well. So I worked in banking for like 7 years. I worked at all the top banks. I did all the things that I was meant to do. And then I quit. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And I was laughed at by people at like they found out what I was doing, and they laughed at me like, why are you doing this stuff on the internet? Like they thought I was absolutely crazy. But I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, no. I'm going to take what I know from the industry. And I'm going to apply that to something new that actually makes me feel a certain way. Which is why I think it's okay to make crazy moves that everyone around you might look at and be like, what are you doing here? Why are you doing this? And you never know what's going to happen in like 5 or so years.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, give it time. But yeah, that's amazing. I think taking a risk as well is like sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't. But that doesn't mean you only ever take one risk in your life. Like you can try things a few times. I can see you in banking actually.
I
mean, that's amazing as
I'm
well.
An Excel spreadsheet girl.
Yeah, but you're so organized and everything now.
Not really. I tried to be, but there's some of the skills that I took from there.
Yeah.
What are some of the risks that you feel like you've taken in your life and your career that have paid off, but other risks that haven't paid off?
Like you said, like starting an Instagram and just going down like that route, which it is a risk, but also it felt so me, like being a trainer and teaching people. And I think again, the like embarrassment, I think that was one good thing about my fitness videos. I was like, well, it's for my clients.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I could kind of like do that as well. But yeah, I think there's definitely been some risks and mistakes. I mean, obviously like literally starting off your own companies is always going to be a complete risk. And bootstrapped and everything like that as well. And the reward is the fact that obviously you can help women, and that is just incredible. And I think that is always going to be, that's paying off for us definitely. And being able to like build that community is like so important. But I think risks in people you partner with, I just comes to like, sorry, I think it's the conversation we've been having that's just kind of like coming to mind. Like you do take risks a lot of the time in people, which is why I love having Alex, because there's no risk there, because it's like you both have each other's best interest at heart always. So like I feel like so safe always in that, and like in decisions and things. But I think when you partner with people, there's always going to be an element of risk, like you said earlier. Like, what are your intentions? Like, you know, are my best interest at heart? Like everyone's, which is totally fine, but everyone's always going to have their own agenda and be selfish with certain things. So I think, people you partner with.
I want to explore that a little bit more, because we talk about wealth losses, and me and you both partnered with the same company in manufacturing something.
Yes.
And on multiple occasions, I'm a numbers girl. I say numbers. I'm not going to say your numbers. This company went under. They went bust. I lost more than 100,000.
Yeah.
In my business alone, I know that I've lost to the tune of 300,000 pounds by partnering with the wrong people or people skipping out or something going wrong.
Yeah.
And this is about, like, I now have the appetite for risk. I know stuff is going to go wrong.
Yeah.
But I hate it when it happens.
Yeah.
And we had a conversation about, by the way, did you work with this company?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, they've gone under, and they've gone under with my money. And you're like, I know
you
that.
And me both. Yeah.
Both of us have lost out.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so that was really hard. So actually, with We Glow, we obviously built the app and everything ourselves, like employed people, and it's totally like from us and then the team around us. So I think because we had that structure with We Glow, when wanting to go into activewear, we were like, we just don't have the capacity as founders to like try and do both. So we wanted to then partner with these people. It seemed great, and it was great to start with, but then kind of things started going, like we were constantly chasing for things, and it was like, what's happening here? And then anyway, so they did go into liquidation. And the way we had our business set up with them was we paid for all the product, and then they took a percentage, like a small percentage, and then they then paid off, you know, the factories and things like that first, and then profit, which then goes straight back into the company. Yeah. So they went into liquidation, with 5 months of our profit, which is obviously a huge hit to any company, and especially a startup company. Yeah. And we fortunately did have a lot of products still, because we were planning on doing more drops. We basically said to them, like, what's going on here? We haven't been paid, but I've really trusted these guys. I think I'm quite like a trusting person. And they were like, no, like it's all fine. But then Alex was like, right, we're not dropping anything else until we get paid. Like, what is going on here? And then it led into the fact that they'd gone into liquidation. And I mean, to be honest with you, so we had a collection, which is a really big collection, which then last year we basically split into like 10 different collections, right, to just try and keep the company afloat, because we couldn't afford to buy new stock and product, which you can understand. And also I think there's something in slow growth, which I think personally is better. Like, you look at these massive companies who, you know, investment and everything, but you know, that you see that they're earning all these things, but they're not profitable. Yeah. And I think the slow growth is super important. So last year we basically were just like in complete like survival mode, and I, like, when we talk about losing confidence, I lost so much confidence and so much of my passion as well. Yeah, and kind of almost like mentally checked out of it a little bit, because I think when something like so big like that, and it just feels like you're plugging away, you're working so hard, but like such a big thing happens. Yeah. How are you supposed to, and like, you don't want to just like pump more money into it, and because that's just not smart. So this year we're actually now at a really good place, but we are basically starting from scratch 3 years later. But I really believe in what we're trying to do, and I wouldn't still be doing it if I didn't.
Yeah.
And I think, as I said, like I've grown up wearing activewear my entire life, and like, you know, I never felt like I could wear any shorts. So I wanted to like create the perfect pair of shorts for like girls with like thicker thighs and you know things like that, because like, I never wore shorts growing up because I always used to get like bullied about my legs and like muscles, etc.
People don't understand, like, you've got a great image online, perfect body, perfect hair, perfect brand, everything's perfect, right? People never know what's going on behind the scenes, and a lot of us are taking a series of wins but also a series of L's. And sometimes 100%. We are taking this has happened and this has happened and this has happened, and you start to lose like that feeling of self-confidence, but also the desire to even do it. It happens to a lot of people, and no one really shows that side kind of to the outward public. What do you feel like you have to maintain a certain image?
It's a really tricky one because I probably don't share enough of that as I maybe should, but also I think I'm so grateful and I know I'm so lucky for so much. Like I don't want to come on and like feel like I'm complaining because like people are like, oh, but pull you.
Yeah,
do
true.
you know what I mean? So there's a really fine line with that as well. And you know, I like to keep a lot of things like personal, and as much as I know that sharing that, people would probably be like, oh, like, okay, I understand her more now, or like I, you know, resonate with her, or like feels like bit of like empathy towards her now. I just think, I'm very aware of like how lucky in so many aspects that we are. I don't know, it's a hard one. I think with like maintaining like a image online and persona, I definitely want to have like more of my personality and what I'm like and everything online, but also it's quite hard. I don't know, I find that quite hard to capture sometimes, unless you pick up the phone and you start filming yourself, but then that feels, you know, quite curated and not, is that you, or funny moments that might happen, but like I don't have a camera there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of difficult. But no, I don't really feel like pressure in terms of like posting on Instagram or anything like that, because I think, to be honest with you, my brain's too consumed with the pressure of running two businesses. So, you know, that's kind of a separate thing. But I think we all feel pressure as women to like look and feel a type of way, but also, you know, like working out and everything is completely part of my lifestyle. And I feel like I've really just found my flow that, like I love and works for me. So
amazing. Do you work out every day?
Probably like 6 days a week, but which sounds really intense, but it's not. Like I'm not doing 6 days of weights, and the sessions that I do aren't necessarily like really long. And I do Pilates because I'm also qualified as a Pilates instructor. So I do a lot of Pilates, which is really low impact and actually just incredibly good for your joints and your mobility, which then helps you recover, helps you in your strength workouts. So yeah, I mean, I love it. And I think starting my morning off with some kind of movement has just completely changed my life, and I think it has such a positive impact on like if you're in business or working and you're stressed, like exercise is like key to helping you. And I'm not talking about, you know, going and doing like an hour session and it's like heavy weights and everything like that, because I probably do like 2-3 weight sessions a week maybe, and I don't lift like really heavy because I don't want to put like a strain on my body to where I feel like super tired. So like I love to exercise to energize me and uplift me. And I really feel like the mix of the Pilates and gym, and I do love a little run as well. Like this morning before I came here, did a little jog. Like I actually did it with no music as well. Just it like clears my brain. You're literally like, are you okay?
It's just the word running.
Are you? No.
Just running. I just can't run.
Next trip we go on, hopefully we got another one together.
I'm sure
we'll go.
Maybe we'll go to Venice with Giorgio Armani.
Yeah. Guys.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. We'll go running together.
Yeah.
I just don't run. I can't run.
Running around your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's your cardio.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Like I run around with the vacuum up and down the house. Does that count?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Fine. Fabulous. But I get it. The power of exercise. I'm a weights girly at the gym twice a week.
Yeah.
That's just about it.
But that's like incredible. And I think people put so much pressure on having to go to the gym every single day or being like, oh, that's not enough. Like, it's the consistency that makes such a difference. And obviously every week looks different. Like, my ideal week would be 6 days. You know, that one might be a really long walk. Another one might be like a 10-minute Pilates. Another one might be a gym session. And I think as well, people have that burnout or for example, set themselves targets or goals. Like, okay, right, I'm going to go for 5 gym days a week now. And they've never done that before. They've never been able to sustain it. So like, why are you trying to set yourself these type of goals? It's more like, okay, you go to the gym twice a week. Okay, like, could you get in 20-minute, like, at home something as well if you did want to like elevate your week of workouts?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people put a lot of pressure on, and actually the key to it is genuinely consistency. Like, okay, you could smash 5 days. Like, if I did 5 days of a week, okay, whew, but then next week I would be on the floor.
Yeah,
so
you couldn't do it.
So I wouldn't do it. And then, you know, then I'm in a bad cycle probably because I've missed the gym, I'm not feeling as confident or as good. So then you end up spiraling and not going at all. So anything is better than nothing. 10 minutes a day, even, you know.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you run 2 amazing businesses at this point in time and your social media. How do you stay creative and energized and motivated to keep going?
It can feel like a struggle sometimes. And I do think, I know, sorry, going back to exercise, but that does help me so much. And like moving in a way that does give me energy and does make me feel really good. And even like this morning, for example, like going for a run with no headphones, that's like creative space. So doing things like that. But yeah, it can feel really challenging. That, to be honest with you, on my Instagram, I think because, you know, you're putting so much into the businesses, I do kind of sometimes feel like, like I want to give people value and help. But then sometimes I'm like, I don't have the mental capacity to like get it out in the right way. And again, because I'm really dyslexic. So sometimes I do really struggle with it. But I think I draw it from, you know, I follow brands that I love, and maybe not like fitness. I actually just love looking at like overarching brands and seeing what they're doing, or, you know, following like beauty creators, because you can, or fashion, and you can take things that people not in your same bracket do and kind of put into what you love. And I think that's with me. I love beauty, fashion, as well as fitness. So I kind of, and I think those all marry so well together. So I think I just try and draw inspiration from all of it. And I think exercise is my lifestyle. It's not my life. So I think the fact that I'm able to have my fashion, have my beauty, that's what keeps me really motivated and, you know, the passion alive. Because at one point I was just posting fitness, and I just, my enjoyment, I was growing, but I wasn't enjoying it anymore.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what, you know, and I was like, what am I going to post now? What am I going to do? And then I started doing more beauty and fashion. And then like my fitness like ideas and everything started to come back, because I think if you just pound one thing solidly for so long, you are going to lose that like flair for it.
Yeah.
So having other things that you love and enjoy, I think just keep that like spark and passion there. But obviously sometimes like always like you're like, oh, I'm failing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this
you know,
is,
that's a feeling we all have. I feel like I'm failing every day. Like I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is people feel like that, but some people either are hindered and they don't move, or they keep going despite feeling like they are failing.
Yeah.
Because you're going to wake up and do something.
You have to.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think like waves, I always say that things go in waves. Like, you know, just because it didn't work the first time or whatever, like just keep like going and keep doing it, because, you know, something along the way is going to hit.
What kind of wave do you feel like you're on now?
I think I'm on like a, you know, we're on a flat sea.
Okay. Cute.
I think, it's kind of nothing. I don't feel like I'm like, you know, flying. I'm just trying to like I'm just trying to get myself like together. But I do feel like I'm in a phase where I'm kind of getting into the direction that I know I want to go and staying on that route. But there's just been a lot of obstacles and a lot of learnings, we like to call them, that have been happening over the last few years. And I do feel like, I will say, I feel like so much more confident and a stronger woman and a stronger businesswoman because of these things.
Yes.
And those fails and lessons from people. Whilst it's really hard at the time, I do think like I wouldn't change it at all, because when the next thing happens, the way you deal with things as well is just like if I'd never had anything and something like, you know, that brand that we dealt with had happened, I would have just been like, like fallen apart. But then I'm just like, right, what are we going to do? Solutions, like always like find that solution.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm just trying to like find my enjoyment again for like content creation as well. Because that's how I started. And, you know, because of that, I was able to build these brands and build this incredible community of women.
Yeah.
And so I think I just really want to find that kind of flair and my thing again in that like influencer content creation world.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
You love women and you've got a community of women that you connect with. What would be something that you'd like to leave them with?
I think to be able to like step into your power and I think don't be afraid to not like lose people along the way, or like, you know, not everyone's going to agree with everything you like. And if you're trying to make a lifestyle change or something which genuinely makes you feel better as a person, and the people around you maybe aren't supportive of it, but you know that you love it, I think like go for it and don't feel shame and embarrassment. As I said earlier, I think shame is such a big emotion, and you know there's nothing shameful or embarrassing about doing something that you genuinely enjoy and love. And go for it. There's enough room for everyone in anything, which is what's so incredible about the industry that we're in. And so I think just kind of, you know, like if I can do it, you can do it.
Love that. Be unapologetic about it.
100%.
That's a great thought to leave. So thank you so much, Steph, for coming on today.
Thank you for having
really
me.
appreciated everything you had to say. You look fabulous and flawless as always.
No.
And I know that, you know, we talked so much about things behind the scenes. So I'm hoping that people will get it. And I'm sure that they're going to get some wisdom from here.
Hopefully get some little nuggets.
Love it. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.